Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to our series of live webinar sessions uh, hosted by IGI Holdings. It's a pleasure to have everyone here on this session today. We're going to be going through an exciting session. One of the exciting sessions today is on health. And I think it's one of the most pertinent areas that all of us will get to learn about today. And just a little bit of housekeeping rules first, as we always do go through it. For the audience, we would be requesting the subject expert to engage with all the panelists on all the areas of focus. As audience, you can submit all your questions via Zoom, and the Q&A session has been kept at the end of the webinar, where I will be asking questions from the panelists, selected questions based on the time slots we have available. All the slides and recordings, as always, will be sent out on the social media handles within 24 hours of the webinar. So in case, for some reason, you are not able to join as of now, you will be able to go through them at your own leisure later on. In case, unfortunately, you go through any technical difficulties, please reach out to Zoom Help Center, since this is a tool that we are using. Even for the panelists, in case, God forbid, if there is any internet outage, just request your patience, and we'll be back on. Hopefully, we will sail through it. Moving on from here, we would be streaming live through the Zoom platform, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So we are welcoming you all on board these platforms, and we request you to join us on these platforms and view our webinar session. Moving on, for this particular session today, we have a host of experts from our company who would be discussing the scenario of COVID-19, and how it has impacted generally the insurance industry, and specifically us as IGI during these lockdown days, and how have we as a team been able to reach out and support and service our customers during these challenging times. So I would like to sort of reach out to our subject expert, Dr. Fawad Sarwar, who will introduce himself, and then the panelists will introduce themselves, and then we will start on with the session. Over to you, Dr. Fawad.
Thank you, Noman Saab, for giving us this opportunity to share something about this topic. As you know, these days, this is one of the most important issues concerning the lives, health, and economy of the people around the globe. Coming to the introduction, let me introduce myself and my team. My name is Dr. Fawad Sarwar. I'm a medical graduate from Allama Iqbal Medical College, Lahore, and currently working at IGI General Insurance as head of the department. My overall experience in health insurance industry of Pakistan is around 18 years. Now I will request my colleagues to introduce themselves, starting with Dr. Naeem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fawad. I'm Dr. Naeem Ashraf in IGI, working as a deputy manager within the health insurance department. My basic role is to assist approvals and case management teams. Besides that, collectively, I have more than 12 years of experience in health insurance industry, which includes abroad as well. Yes, Dr. Shazia.
Thank you, Dr. Naeem. My name is Dr. Shazia Humayun Mirza, and I have been associated with health insurance for quite a few years. I have been currently working as a manager health insurance, looking after claims department and IGI for the past 1 year. Thank you.
Nasir.
Nasir.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Nasir Mahmood. I am a pharmacist and working as a manager underwriting and operations at IGI Journal and IGI Life Vitality Group. I like to thank you for hosting this health webinar. Thanks. Over to Dr. Noreen.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. My name is Dr. Noreen Sara. and I have done my graduation from Liaquat University of Medical and Health Sciences in 2011. I have an experience of quite a few years in health insurance. Currently, I am working as manager in health insurance and managed care department of IGI since last 1 year. My core responsibility is to manage our 24 by 7 running approval center operations. Over to you, Dr. Fawad.
Thank you, team, for your introduction. Now, let us start a formal discussion about the topic. I will start with Dr. Naeem to get his views about this COVID-19 situation. Dr. Naeem, would you describe the impact of COVID-19 on business and economy globally as well as in Pakistan?
Thank you very much, Dr. Fawad. The nations now face several challenges that are tangled with each other, which include medical crisis as well as economic instability around the world. The World Economic Authorities itself had projected a global growth in 2020 to fall to approximately 3% in general. This pandemic is disturbing the economy in multiple ways, from the interrupted supply lines, multiple businesses closures to halted manufacturing plants means every industry has felt its impact. It has also been observed that the sudden closure of large industries, small and medium businesses like ports, airports, or transport industry have almost jammed the wheel of the economy. Regarding that, in order to assess the current situation, a survey was launched by SMEDA in previous month. 920 businesses participated in that survey from all across the Pakistan. This survey highlights the issues being faced by SMEs during lockdown and its impact on the employment and production. In this survey, 95% of the respondents or the businesses have reported that the COVID-19 and the subsequent lockdown has caused a reduction in their operations, including, as you know, disruption in supply chains, loss in their export orders, also increasing unemployment was a major issue during the lockdown. And around 37% of the businesses have laid off some of their employees. Similarly speaking, 89% of the SMEs are facing financial issues, while 60% have reported issues in selling their products or services. In a nutshell, the significant economic slowdown is now leading to negative GDP growth, as projected by IMF, the World Bank, and State Bank of Pakistan itself. Yes, Dr. Fawad, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Naeem. Dr. Naeem, do you see any difference in the statistics of this disease in Pakistan if we compare with other countries?
We are dealing now with 84 millions of live infection cases around the world with 450,000 deaths. Statistically speaking, if we look upon the current situation of COVID-19 in Pakistan as compared to other world, let us divide this comparison on 3 grounds. The first one could be the overall number of cases, and then the number of active cases, and the countries which are at most risk at the moment. If we talk about the overall infection and the new cases, the Pakistan is ranked at 15th place in this world, reaching to a total which is crossing over 150,000 cases at the moment. But more surprisingly, in terms of active number of the cases, Pakistan is standing at sixth place in the world with a total of around 89,000 active cases. Simultaneously, if we speak about different models who are assessing a pandemic situation in this world, we can talk about the Imperial College and Oxford College of London models, which are on the top and which have gained popularity around the world and are being followed up to the most. According to these models, when we are talking about the most risky countries in terms of spreading the infection as an outbreak, Pakistan is standing now at the 4th place. Now, this is very an alarming situation. Next slides, please. While you can see in this slide, while more digging into the situation, one can observe that nearly almost a month ago, on 18th of May, the number of cases in Pakistan were around 42,000. And now after 1 month, we are crossing 150,000 cases. That means in a month time only, cases have been increased more than threefolds, and subsequently increasing the mortality rate as well, which is nearly more than 2% from each 1,000 infected lives. By going this way, it seems that the current pandemic situation has not reached its peak yet in Pakistan, which probably, according to some researchers, will be in late July or beginning of the August. Until then, it is expected that Pakistan can touch a number of more than 300,000 lives in terms of flu infections. Yes, Dr. Fawad, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Naeem, for your valuable input about the situation, COVID-19 situation in Pakistan and across the globe. Now we will see the effect of this pandemic on the insurance business, especially on life and health insurance. So I will invite Dr. Shazia, your opinion in this case. Will this pandemic affect the life and the health insurance business?
Thank you very much, Dr. Fawad. Thank you very much, Dr. Fawad. With the recession which is threatening the global economy, the insurance industry and their investments, they're all coming under pressure like all the rest of the business lines. Insurance companies are facing unique challenges, and how they will approach and respond to these challenges, this will determine their reputation for the future as well. The companies have business continuity and contingency plans, but they were not prepared for an outbreak like COVID-19. They have suffered the decline in business due to reduction in sales. To elaborate, the insurance companies rely on their investment portfolios to generate returns. When markets have been in turmoil, this results in strain on investment portfolios, and the interest rates dropped. That affected the income revenue streams as well. There's been a pressure on sales from reduced business activity and less use of face-to-face channels due to social distancing. All this led to decrease in premium volumes. On the other hand, companies are faced an increased burden of health and life claims resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. The clients will be expecting their insurance coverage to reimburse some of the costs related to their tests and treatments. Well, pandemics are generally not taken into account, and policy premiums also did not cater to the healthcare expenses that relate to this unforeseen pandemic. This basically sums up the effect on the general and life health insurance lines. Thank you, Dr. Fawad.
Thank you, Dr. Shazia, for your input on this question. So what challenges are faced by health insurance in Pakistan, especially in terms of our customers, and how effectively these are being managed by us? Similarly, you see there are many challenges that our providers are facing these days due to the deficiency of beds and ventilators, and there are the absence of certain standard treatments in these hospitals. So what do you see the challenges faced by the insurers and the providers?
So insurance companies have been hit with multiple challenges all at once. Insurance is a highly complex business. It involves multiple processes like administering existing policies, pricing new businesses, and addressing customer inquiries and processing claims. The COVID-19 situation posed challenges for insurers to maintain their operations as normal ways of working. They became severely disrupted. When insurers revised their policies to provide adequate coverage for the pandemic, naturally there was uncertainty that which party will ultimately incur the additional cost for these adjustments. Then the biggest challenge that it has resulted in a huge spike in customer contacts. Whether it's about health cover and pandemic, or whether it's related to compensations, or issues related to availability of investigations and treatments of COVID, customers are contacting their health insurers with queries over what they may or may not be covered for. Customers are even requesting for facilitation of provision of treatment on behalf of their health insurers. Then another challenge was the continuity of work when the lockdown forced people to stay at home. Work routines were evolving to cope with safety needs emerging due to the coronavirus by transition to remote working. This posed a unique challenge of even keeping the employees motivated to counter the frustration and depression that could result from not coming out of homes for several days on end. However, most companies have tried to ensure that professional responsibilities to clients are fulfilled as in the normal times. Insurers that previously relied on physical paperwork, they've been forced to adopt digital solutions to serve their customers remotely. The dependence on efficient IT departments has increased considerably. All these factors raise another prevalent issue, the increase in the potential for entertaining fraud claims because investigative processes, they were disabled due to lockdowns. Next slide, please. The health insurance companies also face challenges due to their provider networks. The COVID-19 pandemic, it has stretched healthcare infrastructure of even the most developed countries. While on one hand, the clients expected insurers to provide cashless facilities, the hospitals were not ready to brace the impact of this rapidly increasing COVID-19 cases. Initially, the hospitals canceled non-emergency procedures. That again created issues for the health insurers. Then treatment and tests for COVID-19 and costs associated with purchasing the much needed personal protective equipments, we normally know as PPEs, and then certain medical supplies. This increased the healthcare expense in the hospitals. But the hospitals in turn shifted this burden to the insurers by introducing rate revisions, incorporating this increase in their expenditures. This compounded the problems that companies were already facing in trying to maintain the payment cycle of healthcare, of the healthcare providers. Moreover, the fresh enlistments of the hospitals to enhance panel networks came to a halt due to the lockdown scenario. Next slide, please. But coming to the point, how effectively the health insurance companies responded, this was a unique opportunity for the insurers to rethink and innovate. How insurers responded to customer needs in this crisis to handle huge volumes of customer inquiries and settlement of claims in remote work environments, this will determine their future reputations in the market. Insurance companies that stay informed, remain proactive, are better positioned to respond to challenges. Definitely, they will come out as winners. In order to provide adequate protection to clients, certain terms in health and life policies needed to be revised with reference to the pandemic coverage. Many insurers relaxed the payment terms with reference to the pandemic coverage. Many insurers, there was a rapid shift to a remote work and digitalization was adopted. Claims were processed through smart systems and processes, and automated payouts offering online solutions were adopted, even if the processing time was slower than in normal conditions. I must add that if there was ever a time to switch over to digital forms, signatures, and document collection, the time is now, so that the customer is able to seamlessly glide through the process from filing to settlement. Various companies, especially IGI, tried to provide round-the-clock availability across human and virtual channels. The office teams could not have effectively managed if it hadn't been for our call center representatives working from home, handling all the customer queries and complaints 24/7. I'll end by saying that insurers who chose to view the pandemic as an opportunity to provide their customers with compassionate, flexible, and digital service, they will definitely come out as winners when this is all over. But during this pandemic and in future, we should not let the lessons of this crisis pass us by. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Shazia, for your input on this topic. Dear attendees, I'm pleased to let you know that during these days when businesses are not fully operational, IGI remained one of those insurance companies in Pakistan which remained successful in executing its operations smoothly. This would have been possible without the support of our complete health team all across Pakistan and almost all departments of the company, including our IT department, our finance, HR, and admin teams. Due to their support, we remained able to collect premiums from our customers, which is a key to continue our services then to provide claim payments to the hospitals and insured members directly into their bank accounts, and to contact with the customers and providers on 24/7 basis. Alhamdulillah, I can say that our satisfaction level regarding the delivery of services remained above 90%. So to discuss this topic more in details, due to which we basically selected this webinar, this topic for this webinar, I will invite Mr. Nasir Mahmood. Nasir, will you please let us know the challenges that you faced during this lockdown period, and how did you overcome these challenges as far as smooth operations of health insurance are concerned, including your underwriting and claims department?
Thank you, Dr. In this slide, I will discuss the most challenges faced by health, underwriting, and overall the operations. First of all, we face challenge about business interruption, which will be covered after that. Business interruption by less communication with clients due to lockdown situation, as clients having routine to meet with us for finalizations of proposals. So physical communication gap disturbed the business. Moreover, most of the clients were also under bad economic situation, as we are observing a downsizing and low economic situation all around us. In some cases of our old clients, we also had to care of our clients to issue policies with relaxed terms according to SECP orders due to long-term relationship with them. Similarly, we also faced some delays in approvals of renewals and in new businesses, which is also due to less communication and meetings with them to make these business fruitful. And similarly, health cards in a hard form was also a big challenge for us, as everywhere offices and printing machines were closed to print out our orders, and dispatch options to deliver these cards to clients was also not possible. It was a tough situation to understand the client about their employees' coverage at the time of panel treatment, which was a big challenge. The next challenge we face is to arrange policy awareness sessions and to understand them, their policy coverage. Normally, we arrange these sessions in the territory of the clients with presence of their all employees in one gathering, which was a challenge to arrange such type of session where we have guidelines to adopt safe distancing and other precautions. Claims payment was also a big challenge, which was also managed effectively with our new technology in IT. Next slide, please. Here I will discuss about the use of technology in underwriting department's continuity. For proposals sharing, Alhamdulillah, we are successful by digitalizing our all processes. Similarly, we made possible premium invoicing sharing with the clients in time with digitalization. For premium collection, we also introduced digital solutions to avoid delays in policies, issuance, and other related matters. Policies in hard form where possible were delivered, but also try to deliver it in soft forms for clients' ease. We introduced e-health card and still working to improve this technology for end users to avail this facility for the treatment of their loved ones at the time of emergency at every panel hospital. For this purpose, our all panel hospitals are already aware with this innovation and well appreciated by most of the hospitals by this technology. To avoid communication gap, with our clients, we mostly adopted the technology of Zoom, WebEx, and Skype for meetings arrangement. Next slide, please. The next challenge for us to handle claims and their payments to hospitals and employees. Alhamdulillah, we also succeeded in this section. Just think about a lockdown situation everywhere. Courier services are not available, offices are closed, and imagine how the claims will be payable. We done it, Alhamdulillah, effectively we done it. We received the claims launch the queries. Although its ratio is less as per SCCP rules, objections on claims are also handled effectively. Not ended here, we also provided claim status to end users on their fingertips, even at their personal systems and laptops at their homes on their own screens. Next slide, please. Similarly, our payments were made timely and delivered to hospitals and employees in their personal accounts. I think it's our a big achievement, which was not possible without IT's help. Hats off to our IT department who helped us in every stage of new challenges. Thanks. It's all about from my side. Over to Dr.
Thank you, Nasir, for letting us know the continuity of the health insurance operations at IGI. And these operations made us proud. Now we will discuss one of the key areas of health insurance that is considered the backbone of our operations, managed care operations, by which we remained in touch with our customers and provided 24/7 through telephone calls and emails. To get more information about this, I will request Dr. Noreen to explain the working of the managed care function during this pandemic situation. Please let us know as well if you faced any challenges in managing these activities.
Thank you, Dr. Fawad. First, I would like to answer how operations were continued in pandemic and lockdown situation, and then I will move forward to the challenges that we faced. Let me tell you that these are the toughest time, and we are facing these times, toughest time that we as human beings are facing and going through. During these challenging times, we have gone an extra mile for our valuable customers to ensure their health and safety. Our team is working diligently 24/7 day and night to provide uninterrupted services to save human lives. There was not even for a single hour or a minute that we stopped our services for our customers during these tough times. So moving forward, during this pandemic situation, our fundamental principle to ensure 24/7 operations at approval center is to bend, but do not break. That is operational resilience. In order to ensure these operations, some elements were considered necessary. For example, workforce safety measures, which are in line with our HR protocols. Strategic preparedness, especially in terms of technology, enabling smooth transition of work to remote area, adaptability to this new normal, responsiveness in terms of maintaining internal and external communication channels with employees, policyholders, clients, brokers, or other customers in order to tackle day-to-day business and queries, and finally, the decisiveness. So what we did in order to ensure uninterrupted services and continued productivity, we introduced dynamic scheduling with flexible working hours for our staff. Approval issuance of pre-authorization requests that we were receiving via emails from all over the Pakistan from panel hospitals was ensured 24/7. Since most of the team members are working from home, so smooth workflow was an important aspect that was ensured among them, and for work from home strategy, necessary tools were provided by IT department. And we are thankful to our IT team for providing 24/7 assistance to us. So basically our backbone was IT, and let me tell you that with no doubt, IGI has one of the most committed and responsible IT team. Moving forward, we conduct essential training of all the team members from time to time in order to enhance the capacity building. Next slide, please. Similarly, our case management activities for medical, surgical, and maternity cases are being done via emails and phone calls directly with the providers. Client awareness sessions, as already mentioned by Nasir Saab, are also being conducted virtually through different electronic mediums. Simultaneously, our case managers are also assisting approval center on daily basis. Weekly web-based meetings are also being conducted with all team members in order to discuss their work-related issues and finding out the solutions accordingly. Next slide, please. Definitely working from remote area is not an easy task, and it do come up with some challenges like sometimes difficulty in maintaining work-life balance, system limitations and certain IT related issues. Thanks to our IT team who saves us whenever we face such issue. Managing shift duties from home, coordination of team members with their own colleagues, other departments and clients, as everyone is working remotely. And it becomes more challenging in case if someone is medically unfit among the team members. Similarly, physical visits by doctors in hospital for case management, meetings with existing or potential clients, and on-site verification of claims have been postponed for a transient period of time. Sometimes beds and ventilators availability at panel hospitals becomes challenging as hospitals are now overloaded with patients. Here I would like to recall one of our success story that will give you an insight of our team efforts and dedication towards work. There was a COVID patient from one of our esteemed client who was admitted in a renowned hospital in South region. Suddenly around midnight, we came to know that patient has got critical and need ICU care and may need ventilatory support as well. And that support is not available at that hospital or at that time. Patient attendants were very worried and they called us on our helpline and discussed the issue that hospital is referring the patient and that they have checked all over, but ventilators are not available. Our call center agent discussed the issue with our approval doctor at that time, and with efforts of around 30 minutes, we arranged the bed space for patient in another panel hospital. Patient was shifted within 1 hour and was transferred on the ventilatory support as he was critical, as I mentioned earlier. And due to our team efforts and quick response, patient's life was saved as that patient was recovered after a week and his family was really grateful to us for that. Over to you, Dr. Fawad.
We receive. Thank you, Dr. Noreen. We receive a lot of questions from our customers. Is COVID-19 disease, is this disease covered in health insurance policy or not? What do you say? What are the coverage parameters for COVID-19 illness for IGI's insured members?
Based upon the type of disease and IGI's inpatient policy, the coverage parameters of COVID-19 are like so many other viral illnesses and viral infections that cause flu, hepatitis, and chest infection. It is also a viral illness, and viral diseases are covered in IGI's inpatient policy. So if admission, hospital admission, along with medical supervision or treatment is required, we do cover it in our IGI's inpatient policy. However, we do offer pre-admission testing, like if someone is going for a surgical procedure, then as a prerequisite or a protocol, it will be covered. PCR investigation can also be covered from patient's OPD limit if it is available. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Noreen. Dr. Noreen, IGI has recently started a new helpline service for IGI customers for COVID-19. Will you tell us something about this helpline and how does it operate?
Yes, that is actually our recent launch. Please, next slide. We have recently launched this 24/7 assistance to all the IGI insured members. The customer can reach us on through numbers that are already mentioned in the presentation. They can call from 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. midnight on 0423 450 3333, and from midnight 12 a.m. to morning 8 a.m. They can reach us out on our emergency helpline number, which is 0300 928 4674. The purpose of developing this helpline is to provide our insured members with the information regarding coverage of illness by IGI insurance, information regarding healthcare facilities, offering treatment, testing of COVID-19 at both public and private sectors, cost estimation of treatment and testing, where and how to access care in case of suspected symptoms, and any other query related to COVID-19 if they have. That was all about this helpline. Thank you, Dr. Fawad. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Noreen. So, audience, before we get questions from the attendees, I will have a couple of questions from all the panelists again. Dr. Naeem, coming to you. there are a lot of experimental treatments going on, and you have seen that whenever some experimental treatment is exposed to the consumers or to the patients, it's the availability of the medicines become in shortage. So what do you suggest for the patients? Do they go for these kind of experimental treatments? What is your suggestion?
Thank you very much, Dr. Fawad. Yes, in the market, there are a lot of experimental treatment. We are hearing about that. And in Pakistan as well, there are recent trials are going on. There were some trials were going on hydroxychloroquine in the beginning, and then some medication like remdesivir, which is an antiviral medication, and some treatments are also going on the plasma therapy, the replacement of plasma, as you know. So these all are currently under trial, because you know the COVID is a new infection to the world. It's currently nobody has known the exact treatment of the COVID-19, and neither a vaccination has been established for this illness. So all globally, there are multiple experiments are going on. You know that 100 of the companies are trying the vaccination trials on the humans, which have some of them have reached to the phase 2 level as well. But as far as coming to your question, if we have to know that which is the exact treatment the patients can try, so there is no treatment. The most of the time it's a sportive treatment for the most critical patients, that is the oxygenation replacement, and yes, there is some achievement has been shown in Pakistan for plasma therapy. What is the plasma therapy?
I think the best strategy would be the prevention is better than cure. The people, they should care for themselves, and then they should follow all the guidelines which government and the health departments are giving them time to time regarding the frequent washing of hands and using the mask all the times when going outside, and similarly maintaining the safe social distance. I think if the people, they follow these guidelines, perhaps they don't need to go for the treatment in these days. Dr. Naeem, another thing, you are managing a team of 5-6 doctors. Will you give credit to your team by the way they worked in these pandemic days when there is lockdown and people are unable to move from one place to the other place? How did they work?
Yes, for sure, Dr. Fawad. I'm managing actually a case management team. You know that because of this lockdown, the physical visits for the case managers was not possible. So what I'm giving credit to the team is that they didn't stop the work. Actually, they were involved with the hospitals, with the doctors, through the emails, through phone calls. And in fact, let me say that the scope of the work has widened actually during this lockdown period, because doing a physical visit was time bound actually, and now they are dealing on the phone and emails, so they have widened the scope of their case management. Let me also say that we were also doing the awareness sessions for the clients on their demand, and these are not stopped as well. We are doing the awareness sessions on web-based mediums, like Dr. Noreen has said, that on Zoom and other applications. So the things are moving on, and we didn't stop at anywhere except the physical visits.
Thank you. Dr. Shazia, coming to you. You are basically managing the claims section of our health team. So usually the routine way of doing work in claims department is when we receive the claims, then we our claims team, our scrutiny team, and our doctors, they check the claims in person, and then they go for payments to the providers and the clients. So in this case, when we are the IGI is unable to receive claims in time, and or did we basically manage the work?
Thank you very much, Dr. Fawad. We tried our best to cater to the claims. Yes, initially there were problems when even the courier services are suspended and we had not initiated the online services. But later on, our claims representatives, they used to get the claims, even if whether they could process them at office or in the remote workplaces. They not only catered to the physical claims, but we also gradually allowed our clients to send soft copies of the claims so that they could be evaluated, complete scans, and they could be processed. We did relax the objections criteria. We tried to entertain maximum claims in the true spirit. Then the claim disbursements, they were done through both channels, through checks as well, because when the lockdowns eased, we could get the checks made, and there were certain industries, they had started coming to their HR departments and their workforces were attending their workplaces. We sent them checks as well, and there were certain institutions with whom we made it possible for the IBFT transfers of the claims, whether directly to the client or in one or two cases directly to the employees. It basically also depended on the mutual effort that the HRs of the other clients also put in. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Nasir, coming to you. So IGI has started, IGI has given a benefit to its health insured customers, Vouch 365. So will you explain what is this benefit and how this benefit basically help the customers to get some like discounted shoppings, things like that?
Of course, 360 is a very attractive product of IGI Life Vitality, which provides a lot of discount centers from where you can get avail the offer of buy one get one free. I hope there are 150 or 200 or more than 200 outlets which provides this type of offer, buy one get one free. This is totally free for health insurance customers and for life insurance customers. I think this is one and biggest achievement of our IT department. I think it's very beneficial for our customers. Over.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Nasir. Dr. Noreen. If we exclude IT services from our call center or the approval center, which operates 24/7, what other challenge did you face during these 2-3 months, excluding the IT challenge?
Sir, excluding the IT challenge, as I already mentioned, that the main issue initially was to manage the shift duties of our call center agents who were working from remote areas. So that was the main challenge that we faced. But somehow we overcome it, and we divided the roster among them and also facilitated them as they were working from home. We accept that sometimes we also face the challenge when someone is medically unfit. So that agent is not available to work even from remote area if he is not feeling well. Then they also are sometimes the beds and ventilators are not available, and the panel hospitals are not catering the patients because due to unavailability and overloading of the patients, they said that we don't have space, and we really have to face challenge at that time when our customer is facing challenge. But somehow we try to overcome it and accommodate the patient in some another hospital which is also on our panel. so the customer will not face difficulty at that time.
Thank you. There is an advice in this regard that the government is basically telling the citizens that before you go to treatment go to any hospital for treatment, preferably you should contact the rescue 1122 because they have the data of the hospitals, the empty beds, and the availability of the ventilators. So before reaching to any hospitals, and the hospital administration, they say to them that the bed is not available or the ventilator is not available, the people, they should contact the government helpline 1122, and then they should proceed to any hospital. So thank you very much, all the participants. Now, Naman Sahab, it's over to you. If we have certain questions from our participants.
Thank you so much. I've got a host of questions, offline as well as through the Zoom tool. I just have a few questions first. I'll and then I'll attend to some of the questions that we can see online too. One of the things that we want to understand, and I would request you to sort of share it with the public at large, is if somebody unfortunately contracts COVID-19, and as a policy holder, you get to know about it, how would your underwriting be affected by that for the future policy years? Dr. Saab, that's for you.
Thank you, Dr. Naman Sahab. So basically, our benefit to the customers is outpatient benefit and the inpatient benefit. So majority of our policies, the customers, they take inpatient benefit only, and they don't go for the OPD benefit. So if you come to this question, like the COVID-19 situation and its impact on underwriting, so we cover this situation in inpatient treatment for those clients whose OPD is not covered. So in COVID-19 situation, mostly around 90% of the patients, they recover themselves by isolating themselves at homes, and they need to take simple medicine, symptomatic treatment like Panadol or an anti-allergic treatment or anything like which can be taken at home. So the people, they don't need to go to the hospital and get any inpatient treatment. So in that case, the policy don't cater these patients. And if their OPD treatment is also covered, then these patients, they can go for the purchase of medicines or the investigations. They can go for reimbursement from IGI. As far as the underwriting is concerned, we have observed during these 3 months that the incidence of hospitalized patients is not too much as compared with the our incidence of the other diseases. Like it is less than 0.5%, 0.05% even. However, whenever the patient approaches to the hospital, he needs serious treatment, which includes the admission in the ICU and then most probably the ventilator. Unfortunately, the outcome, whenever a patient gets ventilator, the outcome is not very good. More than 85% patients, they don't revert from ventilator, and mortality rate is high. So anyhow, the patients, when there is no second alternate available, they have to approach to the hospitals. As far as we are concerned, we are just observing the numbers, the statistics, and trying to build some model to calculate premium and to offer some new limit, a new product for the COVID-19 patients only. Let's see how things unfold in the coming days. Naman Sahab.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just dovetailing into that particular area that we just discussed, we've got a question from our audience from Dr. Rizwan, where he's trying to find out whether you have witnessed any direct or indirect decrease in the loss ratios because elective treatments have reduced or finished for some period of time, and the admissions across the hospitals, at least for the elective parts, have gone down. So are you witnessing any decrease in the loss ratios? Dr. Saab,
Yes, during these 2-3 months, we have observed the number of admissions of the elective treatments they have reduced in our network hospitals. And similarly, we observed that the reimbursement claims, the number of reimbursement claims that we used to receive, these have reduced as well. So, like how the disease goes in next 3 months or 6 months, it will tell the actual situation in the coming days. However, the people they try to avoid to visit the panel, to avoid the panel hospitals or the non-panel hospitals, because the risk of catching the disease is more whenever you approach to the hospital. So it's better to wait for some good days to take the elective treatments. As far as loss ratios are concerned, like we have observed some decrease in the loss ratios.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I've got a question for Dr. Shazia. She mentioned quite a lot in detail with regards to some of the tools that she's using in terms of serving the customers offline or digitally. Dr. Shazia, what I have come across, in various instances, also on the flip side, is that the client themselves or himself, they prefer to have hard copies of policy documents or other documentation. How are you addressing a challenge like that in these times?
Well, Naman Sahab, the clients, yes, they like to have the hard copies, but Nasser also explained in that in his presentation that with the help of the portal link that they have opened up for more and more clients, it is almost having like having a physical thing in their hands when they have a digital web card on their portal which they can show to the clients. But yes, this was a challenge. We could not really give physical cards to all the clients. But as soon as the courier services opened, even this issue was addressed. Not only were they being given services digitally, but they were also shared the physical their identification cards. Then their data were updated, and we tried our best to continue the service as a normal place with, yes, some delays, of course. Thank you, Naman.
Okay. Thank you. I've got another question from the audience from Dr. Ajmal, and he's seeking clarity on the uncertainty with the pandemic and how that uncertainty has affected people. How IGI is planning to meet the increasing expectation of service levels, primarily with regards to the COVID-19 scenario and the coverage, being offered by IGI. So, Dr. Saab, Dr. Fawad, if you could sort of address that, from the service level perspective and specifically the COVID-19 cases, if you could just reflect on that.
So I think as far as COVID-19 situation is concerned and service levels of IGI are concerned, as explained by my colleagues, that we have already started a couple of things. We have started our COVID-19 helpline specifically for IGI customers. So I think we are pioneer in this case. And we have started accepting the soft copies of the claims, as Dr. Shazia has already mentioned. We have started providing the e-health cards to our customers because there was a delay in providing the hard copies of the health cards due to the unavailability of the printing services and the courier services. So I think as far as the service levels are concerned, we are doing good. And if Dr. Ajmal is asking about how will we lead from the front as far as coverage is concerned, so we are already covering the disease in our inpatient treatment. And if the client is getting our OPD services from IGI, we are covering its tests and its medicine used during the homes as well. So if we are basically discussing to offer a new limit only for COVID-19, it is just in the primary phase. We are just discussing it. If we find it appropriate, we will offer to our existing customers and our new customers, inshallah, in the coming days. Aman sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I've got a quick question for Dr. Noreen, and this is kind of linked with the operation that you are managing. How do you foresee telehealth as an emerging sector in Pakistan? And since you are managing a COVID-19 helpline yourself, do you see any future in terms of this being as a full-fledged service or a value addition for a health insurance operation?
Thank you, Namansa. Yes, telemedicine is a new service, new thing that we are seeing these days, that many hospitals, many big hospitals are offering to patients. It has got a big role in future as well. Patient can, without visiting the doctor, without visiting to the hospital and having the threat of infection at hospital, they can seek proper medical care, proper treatment, and proper follow-up with the doctors by sitting at home at their comfort level and telling all whatever is not, whatever being managed at home by them. Doctors can, many hospitals like Ahan, Liaquat National, Shifa International, Maroof, Max Health, and Shaukat Khanam are offering this service, and our clients are availing it. And it has a great future ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Noreen. There's a question from the audience. Mr. Sakrain is trying to sort of find out about, you know, the role, if any. In fact, there is, you know, a substantial role of the provincial and the federal governments as regulators to sort of create a legislation where they can probably, you know, push the health insurance or the coverage for COVID-19 as a mandatory coverage for the clients at large. So, Dr. Fawad, if you could sort of reflect on some of the things that you've come across recently from the government sector and the efforts done by the...
I think the situation of insurance companies and its coverage in Pakistan is a bit different. So all the insurance companies, they are not on the same page. Some companies are covering COVID-19 for their customers, and some insurance companies are not covering. And you know, the role of regulator is not very strict in Pakistan as far as the policy wording is concerned, or the coverage of various diseases to its customers is concerned. And every company has its own underwriting guidelines, its own premium calculation methods. I think government can ask the companies, and rather the SECP, they has asked the companies to provide the maximum facilitation to its customers regarding this disease. So if the question asks that government should make it mandatory for all the insurance companies, then I think it's up to them. They can do this, and definitely there will be some premium impact on those companies which are not providing this coverage.
Okay. Another question from Dr. Haroon, you know, where he's trying to find out that in case of any standard case of hospitalization as well, the screening of COVID has become mandatory. So is that leading to an increase in the cost of health insurance as you see now, Dr. Fawad? And if yes, you know, are you sort of looking at things changing a year from now based on the impact that you see today?
In fact, the future of the disease is uncertain yet. So most of the health experts, they are unaware where this disease will lead to across the globe. As far as the insurance cost is concerned, we have seen that the average claim cost, which our other treatment for any other treatment cost around 50 to 60,000. In this case, this treatment cost is around 250 to 300,000. So the one claim is 5 to 6 times costlier than other treatment. In the long run, if the disease continues in the same way and the world has to survive with it, I think ultimately the insurance cost will increase.
Okay. All right. So I've got another question for Nasir, since he's managing the operation side. What's the kind of turnaround time on average that you are looking at in terms of settling claims? Maybe OPD claims or any other complex claims that you're coming across, especially in these days. And has your turnaround time been impacted negatively by any chance?
Thanks, Dr. Nuwansa. I hope, as I discussed earlier, our TAT turnaround time almost same, 15 to 20 working days. As I have said, we have provided different solutions like portal. Recently, we provided a portal of OPD by which our client can launch their claims, queries handling for objections, everywhere. I think by providing this technology, we are not affected by turnaround time. Our turnaround time is the same as we are dealing with the previous services, which was hopefully 15 to 20 working days.
Okay. Wonderful. So basically, what I could understand from your feedback is that from a service level perspective, IGI Health Operations has not seen any degradation in service, any shortfall in terms of the provision of any service or documentation or anything that provides customer value for the end customer, and that's one of the best things that we can really advise our valuable clients. And I think it's important that with a session like this, this is primarily being done to create that level of bonding, to let you know that look, we understand the kind of challenges and pain and distress that all of us are going through, and in this particular tough time that we're witnessing, as a company, we are standing by you. We are aware of the day-to-day challenges you're going through when it comes to the service levels. We are delivering on our promise, exceeding wherever we can. And in case you've heard yourself, in case there are instances where we can go the extra mile, we do that so that there is a level of comfort that is given and there's a level of service that is provided to our end customers. So with that, we would like to sign off from here, and I would like to thank my team who has been administering the webinar. They're not on the screen today, but they're very much active in the background. I want to thank Usman. I want to thank Jahangir, Madiha, and the rest of Adia and the rest of the team who have been instrumental in helping us deliver the webinar to you. We would be coming up with additional webinars in the same series. So keep an eye open in the social media, where we would be announcing the next sessions. And we hope to see you soon, inshallah, in the next session. So with that, signing off, and thank you so much.